The first ever celebrity to play Survivor had only one goal in mind. Don't tell anyone he was once a semi-famous football player. Gary Hogeboom played professionally in the NFL as a quarterback, but hadn't played since 1990, and it is now 2005. So the chances of anyone remembering him are slim to none, since he was never a big name in the NFL. So the plan is simple. He's gonna change his name and only talk about his current profession, and no one will be the wiser. But it was never that simple, and everything did not go according to plan. Before we start, I want to thank you for watching what I make and ultimately supporting what I do here with liking, commenting, and sharing. For only a few bucks a month on Patreon, you can pick what videos I make, watch all this channel's content early, chat with other fans of the show, and even get exclusive videos every month. With that, let's jump into the incredible cover-up story of one Gary Hogeboom.
If somebody does recognize me, I'm just gonna say, that's not me. I'm Gary Hawkins.
It's quite simple. Gary Hogeboom, ex-NFL quarterback, is changing his last name to Hawkins. That's right, he'll be going by Gary Hawkins. And he's only going to be talking about his current landscaping business. Easy peasy. What are the odds that anyone in this fairly small cast will remember him and his pretty mediocre run in the NFL? So the cover-up begins in episode 1 when both tribes begin their massive 11-mile hike to camp, and while everyone is getting to know each other, someone asks Gary, "Hey, what do you do?" He tells them his cover story and then reveals to us what his plan is if someone does indeed recognize him.
Gary, what do you do?
Landscaping business.
All right.
You know, they've asked me what I do, so I told them I was a landscaper. 15 years ago, I was in the NFL for 11 years. My real name's Gary Hogeboom, but I don't think anybody needs to know that because I'd be voted off immediately. I don't see any markers. What do you think? If somebody does recognize me, I'm just gonna say, that's not me. I'm Gary Hawkins.
A solid plan indeed. Just deny, deny, deny. In episode 2, he expands upon this cover story he has created by telling us a loophole in everyone's logic and how he will be exploiting it.
You know, they've asked me what I do, and I told them I was a landscaper, not a quarterback. Nobody's asked me what I did 15 years ago. So, I guess I don't have to tell them.
But then it happens, and it's only episode 2. Danny, from the opposite tribe, recognizes Gary and tells Brian during the immunity challenge. Brian then back at camp asks Gary about this, and Gary goes into full denial mode with some top-notch acting.
Gary, were you a former NFL quarterback?
I think you kind of look like right.
It was brought up by Danny from Nacomb that I played in the NFL at quarterback, and she told Brian that as they were wrestling in the mud. What the heck she was doing telling him that while she was wrestling in the mud, I don't know. Trying to disturb our tribe, I'll bet. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, well, Danny's a sports captain.
Somebody needs to knock her out.
See, his plan to just say that it isn't him is flawless. Nothing is mentioned in episode 3, but in episode 4, things get a little bit dicey. He wins a picnic lunch on top of a Mayan ruin along with 2 other members of the opposite tribe. They bring up what the dastardly Danny told them about Gary, and he says, "No way, that's not me. I never played in the NFL." But then he receives a very serious death threat.
And you're an ex-football player?
No,
Oh.
I'm a landscaper. You know, Danny said something to Brian or something about. He thought you looked familiar. I wish I was.
Who knows? Watch him be retired and he's like a multi-millionaire. I'll kill him. I'll freaking kill him.
Things are taking a turn towards the dangerous as when he arrives back at camp, his greatest foe is there too. Danny Boatwright, the destroyer of Gary's ultimate plan to be a humble landscaper with no infamous past. She says she thought he played at Central Michigan, and Gary says, no way, he only went to school there.
And no football? Landscaper. Who do you think I was?
Oh, I thought you played at Central Michigan.
No, I went to Central Michigan, but I didn't play it. I'm totally gonna die that I'm Gary Hogeboom till the end. I'm not gonna blow my strategy, and that's my cover. So I'm keeping it.
Mind you, there are thousands upon thousands of colleges he could have said he went to, but somehow his cover story involves going to the same college as the infamous Gary Hogeboom, which is definitely not him. Danny is completely confused by his game plan here.
I thought Gary was going to die when he looked at me because I'd called him out right away on the whole quarterback thing.
I don't know, maybe he just doesn't want anybody to know he was a former professional quarterback because, you know, you think right away he doesn't need the money.
Things cool off for a couple of episodes until Danny has the brilliant idea to celebrate her birthday with the other tribe at the pool that they won. It is certainly an unprecedented move on her part, and in the secret scene at this party, it is clear she was probably trying to blow up Gary's perfect cover.
What is that here about you being a professional football player? I'm not.
There was a rumor when we got to camp here that Gary used to be a professional football player. I asked him about it, and he goes, "Well, I don't know what they were saying. He still might be, yeah, but who knows?"
I wish I was.
Yeah, I'm totally gonna deny that I'm Gary Hogeboom. Till the end. I'm not gonna blow my strategy. That's my cover. I'm keeping it.
I'm right there with you, Gary. I wish I were an NFL quarterback as well, but I'm not. Later on in episode 7, Amy is still suspicious and her death threat from earlier should absolutely be taken seriously, as she says that when she gets home, she is looking up Gary Hawkins on the computer, and if he is lying, she will track him down and beat him down. Gary is not concerned about this at all though, due to his foolproof cover-up plan.
I'll call the locals over there. Can you give me the lowdown on Mr. Gary Hawkins, ex-professional football player?
Ex-professional? Yeah, I wish.
If Gary's playing me, I am gonna kick his ass. I'm gonna kick his ass. I'm gonna find you in Michigan. I'll put in Gary Hawkins, 46. It'll come bang, bang, bang. Spew on. And I found it after. I'm gonna beat you down like a stepchild.
I'm trying not to let her read me because she thinks she can read people so well, but she'll never find Gary Hawkins in Grand Haven because there's no such thing as a Gary Hawkins in Grand Haven. So she could be searching for years.
In episode 8, the hidden immunity idol is introduced to the game of Survivor, and here's another chance for Gary to cover things up from the others as he tells us exactly what he will do if he finds the idol first.
If I find that idol, I'm not telling anybody. I wouldn't come prancing to the camp and say, "Hey, I found the idol." No way, I wouldn't do it.
Episode 9 begins with a tall tale from Gary. He weaves us this lie where he says he threw for almost 300 yards in a game against Detroit and beat them in an epic comeback. This is untrue. While he did throw for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns, they lost to Detroit 26-21. No win happened by Gary Hogeboom. But what a convincing lie he told us, and if I didn't fact check it, then no one here would even know if he was telling the truth.
In the NFL, we played against Detroit one year, and we were down by 20-some points. I threw for close to 300 yards in one quarter, and we came back and won in the last part of the game.
At the previous reward, Judd received the second clue to the idol, and he takes the time to be kind enough to share it with everyone.
Tree mail I got in my pocket, man. That thing is definitely by fall on the ground, so to speak.
That's good to know. So later on in the episode, before Tribal Council, Gary's looking at the ground just like he thinks he should be doing. And he's really looking hard because he suspects he might be voted out next since he is in the minority alliance. However, he then spots something very suspicious. Judd is looking in the trees after telling everyone that it's definitely on the ground. What a twist.
I think it's pretty amazing that Judd told everybody the clue that it's on the ground. And I followed him back here and he's looking in the trees. It's pretty interesting. If it's on the ground, I wonder why he's looking in the trees.
At Tribal Council, Jeff asks Gary about lying in this game, to which Gary says, "Hey, how much or how little you lie is up to your own personal code." So then Jeff asks him a follow-up question.
You told any lies?
No.
Gary is now even trying to pull the wool over Jeff's eyes. Ballsy move, let's see if it pays off. Anyways, it's time to vote, and this is when Gary pulls out a massive blindside on not only the players, but us as well.
If anybody has found the immunity idol and wants to use it tonight, now's the time to bring it up.
Oh my God, Gary.
Oh man, good job, Gary. No talking. You cannot vote for Jamie, you cannot vote for Gary.
What a shocker. He really is an expert liar. Maybe he really is Gary Hawkins after all. Back at camp, the others want to know where he found that idol at, and he tells them exactly where he found it, but not everyone believes him.
Where'd you find it?
At the Mayan worship Siba tree.
Where's the trees the Mayans used to worship at? I think Gary's shady. Everybody else thinks he's a good guy, but I don't think he really is.
Now, thankfully, at the reunion show, Jeff shows us the exact moment Gary found the idol, so we can witness for ourselves how he pulled off that massive blindside.
I've been looking in the Siba tree. Well, lo and behold, I see the idol. This is highly secret. I'm going to keep it till I need it, which could be tonight.
Episode 11 sees a twist. Previously, Gary had told Judd that only the worthy should go to the end of the game. The worthy meaning people like Gary, of course, Judd, Stephanie, and Danny, and definitely not people like Lydia or Cindy. But then Judd catches Gary trying to make an alliance with Lydia, and he can't believe Gary would ever lie to him, man.
Gary had told me that he wanted Cindy and Lydia out of this game already and they shouldn't even be here. Okay, now he wants them in the game and he's trying to make an alliance with them. So that's a big lie. He likes to think that he's no part of this lying game. But the least person you would expect to lie is basically the biggest liar.
At Tribal Council, Judd calls Gary out on this, but Gary denies that he ever lied and pulls out the big guns when he turns the entire tribal around on Judd.
That came right out of his mouth.
That's right. And so what did I lie about?
Because then you're trying to make an alliance with Lydia.
But I didn't say
you
did
wanted
I
her out of the game.
But did I tell them that they should be out of the game? I didn't tell them that. This is a lie. Hey, you guys, the idol is on the ground. That's a lie.
Okay.
But it doesn't matter, Gary still gets voted out. But thankfully, in his final words, he reveals that absolutely no one figured out his cover story, and it was a major success.
My tribe does not know my real name, which is Gary Hawkins. I didn't feel that it would be an advantage if they knew that I used to play in the NFL. So that was the lie I told, but I told it because I wanted to be judged on how I played the game, not on who I was in the past.
But is this true? During Amy's early show interview that she did after being voted off, she reveals the truth on whether anyone really knew that he was an ex-NFL quarterback.
Did you know he was a pro football player?
Well, Danny told us we sort of knew, but we really didn't care. But, you know, I would just rag him on it.
And then at the reunion, Danny spills the beans on how exactly she figured it out so quickly. Basically, she says that she saw Gary at casting, thought he looked a bit familiar, and since she does radio broadcasting about sports, this is an area she's very knowledgeable about. So she actually visited Central Michigan, where they have a shrine there for one Mr. Gary Hogeboom.
In Central Michigan, he went to Central Michigan State, and you go up there and there's like a shrine of Gary there at Central Michigan State. So it was kind of funny.
Uh-oh, Gary better run or Amy will beat him down like a stepchild. So what do you think? Was Gary Hogeboom's cover story about being Gary Hawkins actually brilliant? Should he have just told everyone who he actually was? Let me know down in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you like the content you see here, then please consider supporting me and this channel on Patreon. Your financial support makes this channel possible, so thank you, and thank you for watching.